Hey everybody, Tom here, and today I want to teach you how to set up a game of Cerebria. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but that's what I'm going to call it. And just a heads up, I did kickstart this game, and this is the big Kickstarter version called the Origin Box. I'm honestly not sure what the difference is between the Kickstarter version and the retail version. I know one thing that's different, but other than that, I really am not sure. So you may just have to bear with me. I'll try to point things out. Okay, here we go. Let's go ahead and crack open this big box for this big game. Oh, Nelly. Okay. Now there's a lot of stuff in this box, but we won't need everything. So what I'm going to do is let's pull stuff out of this box and then we'll set it up. First thing I've got in this box is this has some expansion material in this Kickstarter version. And so, for example, here's the main rule book, and then there are two rule books, one expansion and one for solo or co-op mode. So I know for sure that these are things that would not come in the retail version of the game. So we have the book there. And then what we need to do is we need to pick some characters. Now, this game, I'm going to have to do this as a 4-player game. That's kind of the intention of this game. It can be played solo, it can be played 1 versus 1, but the book recommends that if you do that, then each player controls 2 characters. You could play with 3 people using the expansion stuff. So I'm going to be doing a 4-player game. There is like a good feelings team and a bad feelings team. Good and bad. So this is called the gloom team, and this is the bliss team, I think. And so what we need to do is I need to pick 2 characters, 1 for each team. I'm going to do it semi-randomly. I did do a practice game of this, so I'll probably just kind of stick with those. So the good team here, that's kind of a relative term, of course, is this pink color. And the bad team is this dark blue color. And so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be playing with empathy and love. I'm good at empathy. I'm not good with love. There are also other boards for the expansions here. Okay, so I'm just going to take out these 2 characters here. And then over here, I'm going to be playing malice and hatred for the others. So anxiety and misery, I'm going to go ahead and keep those out. So I'll be setting up my 2 different teams there. Now, I'm not sure if I think this would come with the retail version, but there's a little booklet to help with your cards and their abilities and things like that. I'll probably keep these off camera, but for now, we'll go ahead and pull those out. We have the massive game board. This is a 9-piece folded up board. It's going to take up a lot of space, so let's just take out the whole board for right now. We're going to need this pentagonal shape here. That's going to become part of the board there. Hopefully you're able to see basically any of the colors that are like this orangey reddish color and this dark blue color we're going to need. These light lavender colors, that's for the expansion. I'm not going to need that stuff there. So, for example, these things are this light lavender color. I'm not going to need those, but I am going to need this blue and this reddish orangish color here. So go ahead and pull out those. Those are the team boards. I'm going to need these pieces here. This is a whole bunch of pieces that stack together. Let's take these out. Again, I'm just kind of pulling stuff out of the box so I can get it out of the way. And I need these ones as well. So we'll kind of put it right here. Here, let me get the book out of the way-ish. All right, so I'm not going to need these. But I am going to need these big decks of cards. I don't think the insert would come with the retail version, I'm guessing, but I'm not 100% sure. So this big deck of blue cards has a few different smaller decks inside of it, so I'm going to need those. And then this deck right here, you can see it's kind of a mixture. This is actually for an expansion, so I'm going to leave this small deck of cards inside. But the rest of these cards here, let me just show you in case you're looking. So we have these bleakness cards. I'll talk more about those as we set up. But the rest of them kind of look like this. And then these are a different side. There's the back side. So that's usually how I sort piles of cards. I kind of go back and forth so I can keep them together. Anyway, what am I talking about? That goes there. Same thing with this orangey, pinkish, reddish color. I'll never know what to call it as I'm recording. I haven't even opened up the plastic for the expansion stuff, so I'm going to keep that there. And in my box, what I've done is I've gone ahead and kept pieces for this stuff just down in here. So I can just go ahead and keep those there, pull out this big deck of cards. Same thing. That's what the back of the card looks like. That's what the front is going to look like. So we've got this deck of cards here. One more thing we're going to need. I don't know why I've chosen to keep this here. Well, I do know why, but it's not important. We're going to need this piece here. This is going to help put that onto the main board. So we'll take that out. And then next, I have this whole tray of stuff, and we're going to need most of these things for gameplay. So there's a whole lot of stuff in here. I'm going to just take out this whole thing. We'll look at it more in just a second. And here, this also came with a Kickstarter, and I paid for the painted miniatures. Here are all of the different characters, nice and painted as figures. Now, the retail version does not come with any of the miniatures, I don't think. It would just come with cardboard tokens. As much as I would love to use these in the video because they're beautiful, and that's like why I bought this game, was because they're so pretty. These actually don't read very well on camera, so I'm not going to be using the miniatures in this video here, which is very sad, but you've seen them. I've done my duty. Whatever. We'll move on. Okay, so now I have everything out of the box. Let's go ahead and move the box off of the table. I will also point out that when I play this game, I like to have 3, you may want 4 kind of plastic containers. These are some really cheap, crappy ones that I've got that kind of like all screw together. That's not important, but I will be using these in the setup as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to kind of push stuff around. All of the red bliss stuff is going to go on this side over here. All of the blue gloom stuff is going to come over to this side over here. And we've got these tokens, and we're going to go ahead and set up the board. Okay, so I'm going to try to do this gently, but it is kind of crazy. Now, this board is double-sided. The art in this game is truly, well, something that sets it apart. You can see it's just gorgeous. Now, one side of this board has no iconography on it. It's just kind of this beautiful piece of art. I'm going to be using this side with iconography. And placements of cards and stuff, obviously. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of open it up. Oh, Nelly, this is a mess. Okay, we can do hard things. All right, so here we go. Let's lay out the board like this. Now you could see why I chose the sides that I did. These icons up here are going to be kind of score tracks, and then we have the Bliss team is going to sit on the right side of the board. The Gloom team is going to sit on the left. You can't see it. There you go. There are draw piles for each player. So like I said, I'm going to be doing this as a 4-player game. Now what I got to do is I got to take this stand. We've got to put it under the board right there. Like that. And then this, you can choose how you want to put it. We'll just randomly go on there. And you want to spin it so that it kind of fits these rounded edges, corners like that. Okay. Whew. All right, what should we do next? I think what we should do next is set up a player area. So as I mentioned, I have a lot of tokens in here. So let's kind of open this up and let me talk you through how I've set up this little container for ease. First thing I've got is those lavender pieces. I'm not going to need these lavender pieces, so these can go back in the box. But in here, we have a whole bunch of these tokens here, and these tokens are called, oh my gosh, there are so many names for so many tokens. Those ones are called willpower. Yes, these ones are willpower. So I'm just going to go ahead and take willpower. I'm going to put them into one of these things here. Now the book is going to recommend that you just keep a pile of these willpower tokens on each side of the board for each team to have easy access to. Where it's just me playing on camera, I'm just going to keep them all in one place. And while we're at it, something we're going to need to do is to put 7 willpower tokens into each of these kind of dishes here. I should point this out. This was very nice of them. This is a dual layer, so this is kind of indented right here. So I'm going to just go ahead and put in 7 into each of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In case you need to practice counting to 7, apparently I'm going to just keep doing this on camera. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Almost there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Now the rest of these I'll just keep off camera for now. We'll be adding more to player areas and stuff in a second. Next, I have a little bag that has, these are pieces that don't belong to one team or another. These are pieces that will be used throughout the game. And so let me show you what kinds of pieces we have here. They're going to kind of start off the board, but they're going to get back in the board really quickly. First, we have these little teensy tiny scoring tokens. We're just going to need one for each team. I'm going to put them up here, and there's a spot labeled with a 0. I'm not going to zoom in on that. I'm just going to go ahead and put one of each of those there. Whoa. Okay, and then next, what we have is we have these control markers for the different realms. And so, like, for example, these are going to end up circling realms that are controlled. So there are 5 of those, I believe. And then there are also frontier control tokens. Those would go on places like this, okay? And so they're double-sided, so that's why I kind of say that they belong to both teams at the same time. So I'm basically just going to go ahead and keep these near the board for now. We're going to be using them soon. And then there are also these block tokens. I'm going to keep these off the board, but we might be using them in the game. These have to do with like special powers and stuff like that. There are more score token things here. I'm just going to go ahead and place these back in the bag and into the box. We won't be using those. Okay, so we've got those there. Now this dark purplish color means that these are going to also be shared between the two teams. These are objective cards that both teams are going to be trying to get. I like to keep them in here rather than in the insert. But yes, we're going to go ahead and keep these out. I'm going to put them right underneath the board for now. We'll come to those in a little bit. Okay, next I have pieces for the players and pieces for the teams. So for me, each player has their own little bag. And in that bag you have these, what are these called? These are value tokens, I think. Vibe. These are vibe tokens. And then there are also these round character tokens. More on that in a second, but I'm just showing you. Each player is going to get one of these bags, so I'm going to move those off. And then the blue team is going to also have these tokens here. So let's throw those over there. So our bliss, each player is going to get one of these, and the team is going to get one of these. Now, I have some more tokens here. And I'll just go ahead and take them out of this insert because they're not so friendly inside of there. And we're just going to go ahead and put them in these cups and onto the board, and that will be nice. Okay, we got these here. Okay, and next up, let's take off the lid. We've got these. I think, if I remember correctly, these are called essence tokens. For as beautiful and semi-simple as this game is, it really does get bogged down in some of the vocabulary and the terminology and such. And so I'll probably mess those up. I think these are called essence. And we'll just go ahead, put these in here, give them to the blue player. Now, or the blue team. I also mentioned that probably in the retail version you get these cardboard stands for the different characters. This is what I'm going to be using because they are easier to see on camera. They also have some stands. I just need this one for hatred, and I need this one for malice. Everything else I'm going to keep just in this bag here. And then, kind of similar to these shared unlocked goals, each team is going to have a pile of goals as well. So I'm just going to hand this to the blue player, or the blue team. And then over here, same thing. Oh, let's get that open. I was going to play, what was I going to play? Love. And what is that? Empathy, I think? Something like that. Okay, over there. And then they also have a pile of cards. Truth be told, I don't know what this token is for. I think it's for an expansion or something. I don't know, or maybe it's just to look cool. It does look, maybe it's the trophy for the winner. I have no idea. But we're just going to go ahead and put that in there. And we now have all of these pieces. Oh, I got to keep these block tokens available in case we use them later. But yeah, all of this into the box. We now have everything out of the box that we need. So why don't we head over to the bliss side of the board, and we're going to get the 2 players set up as well as the team area set up. So over there. Okay, so what we've got to do now is we need to set up, each player is going to have their own little play area, but then also as a team, they're going to have their own play area. So I mentioned we have this book. I'm going to keep this book off camera, but we'll reference it as we're playing the game. We have our 2 player pieces. Let's just keep them near the play areas for now. I'm going to put love down here. Empathy, I'm going to go ahead and put up higher. And then let's kind of go ahead and take a look at this big deck of cards, and we'll talk about what the cards are. So we have a player reference, which is great. I really wish they had given 2 reference cards, but they didn't, and that's okay. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and keep that nearby. And then the bliss team is going to have 2 brightness cards. They look like this. And these are going to go on the board during setup. So I'm just going to go ahead and put them at the board for now. Now what you're going to do is you're going to have a whole deck of emotion cards. And in fact, there are 2 identical decks of emotion cards. And so let me kind of show you what those look like here. So those look like this on the background. And the upgrade cards have this little upgrade symbol. So we're going to keep the upgrade cards away for now. We have 2 identical decks, except for you're going to have this, it's like a full moon symbol, it's just a circle. And that's how you could tell the difference between the 2 decks. But on this side, they're going to be identical sets of cards in each one. So I'm going to go ahead and give empathy, I'm just going to hand it up there, 1 deck of cards, and I'm going to go ahead and give love the other deck of cards here. And then I'll give empathy 1 bag, and I'm going to go ahead and give love the other bag. And we'll give empathy his player board up here, and we're going to give love their player board down here. And then this is a board that's going to be shared between the 2 teams. So I'm going to go ahead and put that board right here, just in between the 2 players. And then we have all of these big plastic pieces here. These are like fortress kind of things. And there are 3 different kinds. We have major ones that are bigger. We've got 3 of those, so I'm just going to keep those nearby. We have 5 minor ones. They're smaller. Put those there. And then we have this capping top, and that's going to go right here. Okay. And then one more thing that we got was our objective cards. We're going to go ahead and just give these a quick shuffle do here. And I'm going to put these right there. And then I had mentioned before, do you know what? Let's get closer. Let's set up the team area, then we'll go to the individual players. So for the team area, here's the bag of team stuff. Basically what we've got here is we have, these are ambition. Yeah, these are like ambition tokens. They have a face upside and a face downside. You have 3 of them. We need to put all 3 face down right here, like this. And then these are kind of like big boosting tokens. We're just going to keep these nearby so we can grab them at any time. And I'm also going to go ahead and keep the advancement cards. Now, there's no need to shuffle these. In fact, the way that I've set these up is I've sorted them by color. And then there's 2 of each card. So I've gone ahead and grouped those 2 cards together just so that things are easier to find. So you'll see I have my yellows, then my reds, and then my greens. And they're all paired up together just for ease of finding. No need to shuffle those at all. So this is the team area. You've got your team board, goals, ambition tokens. I think that's what they're called. Flip down. We've got these pieces, advanced cards. Now you don't use these in the base, like there's like a starter easier game that would say to not use these, but I'm going to be playing the regular game. And we've got these tokens here. Next up, let's go ahead and set up Love's play area. And so Love has this little bag here, and they have a deck of cards. And what we're going to do is, here we go. These, what did I call them? They're not value. These were, okay, so there's 3 things we got in here. We have a turn tracking thing. We're going to go ahead and put this one face up right here, there. And then we have these, I just barely called them. It wasn't value, it was vibe. Okay, so we got a bunch of vibe tokens. There's 4 of each kind those symbols we were seeing on the cards plus 4 wild ones. I'm just going to kind of store them right here for just a second. And then we have these. These tokens are really just to track your turn order. So we're just going to go ahead and pull out the one that matches love. That's going to help us track our turn order in a little bit. This one is going to go back in the bag like that. And then what we need to do is, now as I'm setting up, so the rulebook has a basic game and then the advanced game. I'm kind of mixing both the basic game and the advanced game together in the setup, and I'll try to be clear about when. But in the basic game says to find your 4 wild tokens, they're just these white circles, and to put them on these spaces. And I'm going to stick with that for my playthrough. But something you could do, if you know what you're doing to play the game, is you could put these wild tokens down here if you wanted to put one down here, like that. And or you could also put them in these spots here. Well, you'd have to have one here and then one over here or here or here if you wanted to. But for the basic setup, we're going to go ahead and stick with these. And that basically means that these 4 actions are unlocked. Putting tokens over here would upgrade those actions. So if you wanted to unlock an action and have it upgraded, you could. We're just going to stick really normal for now. And then these tokens are just going to hang out here for later. Next, we have our big deck of cards. Now, kind of similar to the advancement cards, what I've done is I've separated these, or I've paired them together, because we're not going to play with the full deck of cards. We actually only play with 16 cards. And you could either make your own deck if you enjoy, creating decks before a game starts, but in the rule book, on the last page, they have a deck recommendation here. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the love recommendation. And we're going to go ahead and just pull the pairs of cards that this is recommending. And in fact, when I did my playthrough, oh no, it wasn't this one. I did this same thing, so that's why these are paired up. Anyway, what am I babbling about? So for these cards, we're going to go ahead and grab 2 self-esteem cards. I need, let's see, do I need trust? Yes, I'm going to need trust. Oops, I bumped it. Desire. Oh, in fact, yeah, last time I played, I think I just kept these cards together. Innocence. Yep, we're going to need that. We're going to need cheerfulness. We're going to need confidence. We're going to need comfort and sociability. The rest of these are just going to go back in the box. But what I've got to do now is get these shuffled and so let's get these shuffled. I'm going to do kind of a crappy job now. I promise to shuffle better before playing the game. But essentially, what we're going to do after these are shuffled is the game recommends, well, we're going to draw 2 cards. But the game is going to recommend that we keep these face down right here, and then your top card is always visible, so you would just turn the top card up. Now, as I was doing a practice round preparing for this video, I found myself always forgetting to turn the top card up. So I'm going to kind of do it a little bit differently than the game recommends. I'm not sure if there's anything wrong with me doing it this way, but I'm going to do it anyway. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and pick 2 cards. Just because my shuffling hasn't been perfect, I'm going to go ahead and just draw them like this. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is, instead of putting these face down and flipping over the top one, I'm just going to put this face up. And that way, as we draw, the next one will always be face up. Okay, so with the exception of putting our character out, we have love's board ready. Let's go up and do the same thing with empathy. All right, so for empathy, we've got all the same stuff. Let's build the deck of cards in a second. We've got our player token. Inside of this bag, we should have 3 different kinds of tokens. We have I have forgotten the name of Vibe. These are vibes. We have our player order one. We want to keep it this face up, or that's our turn, it's our turn structure token, whatever. We need our character token. This is going to help us with our turn order tracking, whatever. And then this one will go back in the bag because we're not using it. And then we have all of these square tokens. I'm just going to dump these out right there. Pull out the 4 wild ones. This is taking up a lot of table space, and it's really awkward for me to reach the way that it's going. Okay, and again, same thing. For the basic game, this is what it recommends. I'm going to do it for my game as well. Okay, next up, what we need to do is we need to go ahead and build our hand of cards. So pulling the rule book back over. Where is it? There we go. For empathy, we're going to need sociability is something we're going to need. We're going to need kindness, tranquility, safety, generosity, affection, confidence, yes, trust, yes, I should have been counting, but I don't think courage. Let me see. Yeah, that's the end of it. Okay, so the rest of these cards are going back in the box. We have our hand of cards here. I'm going to go ahead and shuffle them. I wish you could see how my body was contorting right now. It's extremely awkward. I got a notification. Okay, so I'm doing kind of this crappy shuffling job. I'll make sure to shuffle things one more time before I start recording the gameplay video. But we start with 2 cards in our hand. And then instead of doing face down and flipping over the top one, I'm just going to flip the whole thing face up like this. And it's going to go on that spot of the board. All right, so over here on the gloom side, we need to do the same thing. Let's start by separating who gets what. This is one bag. Let's give it to a player. This is a team bag. It goes here. This is another player bag. It goes here. We've got our player aid. Our book, I'm going to keep off camera, but we will be referencing it. We have our team board here. I think we're going to kind of mirror that other side. So team board. We have these goal tokens. Give them a good shuffle like this. And they're going to go there. We have our different tokens that will end up going on the board soon. So we have, we're going to put hatred down here and malice up top. We have our big deck of cards. Now, there's more bleakness cards than there are the brightness cards, which look a lot like this. We still only need 2. These are going to go on the board, so I'm going to toss them that way. If we were playing with, I think the character is anxiety, we would use these other cards, but we're not. So these are going to go back in the box. And then I have the deck of cards without the moon shape, so it's going to go up here. And then we have this deck of cards that does have the moon shape. That's where it is on the front side of the cards. On the back side of the cards, it looks like that. So that's going to go down here. We have our advancement cards or our upgrading cards. So these, again, I have them kind of paired together and sorted by color for easy reference. No need to shuffle these. These are going to go up here. What did I say? I said malice was going up here and hatred is going down here. Let's set up the team area first. Well, we're almost all set up, so this will be easy, but we basically need to, I'm going to take apart these pieces. So we've got our major fragment things, our minor ones, or fortress, I don't know what they're called. And then we have our topper, so we'll just break those down. And then, oh, I want to keep it symmetrical. So these are going to go here, like that. And then we've got these here. And we'll put these ones face down like this. Okay. And then these tokens are going to go right here. And I can move the bag out of the way. Let's go ahead and get our cards set up so that I can move that out of the way. This is a little tricky. So hatred from this deck of cards is, I think I did this earlier. So yeah, we got jealousy, dislike, and again, I'm just reading hatred, jealousy, dislike, I'm going to need those. Pessimism, insecurity, those are all there. Selfishness, bitterness, anger, and then embarrassment, I think is our last one. Yeah, so the rest of these are going to go in. I'm going to hold on to these for a second. Get this out of the way. We're going to get these shuffled up. Amazingly, I'm sure I'll never get anyone angry about the way I'm shuffling and not shuffling that well. You know, it happens. Okay, so something like that. And then what we're going to do is we get 2 to start off. Hey, look, they're different. That's good news. And then I'm going to put these face up on the draw pile. It's right there. You can just see the edge of it. And then that's our hand of cards. We're going to get this guy on the board in a bit. Okay. And then we're going to dump these out, find our person. This other one can go in the bag. There's our turn structure token. We're going to put that face up. I need my wild ones. Again, I'm following the basic game structure. The reason why I'm showing you this every time is I'm hoping that by being bored watching this, when the time comes for you to set up your own game, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I know exactly where these things go because I've seen it 4 freaking times. Okay, so there are those pieces. Hatred is basically ready to go. So now let's do the same thing for malice. Get this over here. Okay, I'm pretty sure these are the cards we need. I'm not going to bring out the book. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. All right, so those are our 16 cards that I'm using. The rest are going back in the box. I am bumping the light because I'm having to stand in a weird place. And we're going to go ahead and shuffle these semi-well. Oh my heck. Sure, something like that. Okay. All right, we're going to start with 2. I'm going to make them face up. Put them right there in that spot. Oh, we have 2 dislikes, which means I sucked at shuffling, so I'm just going to go ahead and put one of those on the bottom and grab a selfishness. Sure, why not? And here, we'll give these a quick shuffle one more time. Might as well. All right, okay. Next, dump these out. We are malice, which is this one. Okay. And then we've got our wilds. And then we've got, this one's going to go back in the bag. And we've got all of these things here. And then our turn, we're gonna end up flipping this, but we'll talk about that in just a second. Okay, now I'm coming down to the bottom of the board. This could just as easily be up at the top of the board, but we have kind of these different goal cards. Now, in the basic game, they recommend you take out 2 of these cards. I'm not going to do that because I don't see the reason to, but reflection and I think it was sensibility. I think these 2 are taken out in your first playthrough. I'm going to go ahead and just keep these cards in, but I also wanted to point out that these decks, along with the red one, are identical. The things on the other side are exactly the same as one another. So what we're going to do is, if you're playing the base game and you're going to take out those cards that I just mentioned, you would also take those out of each team's deck as well. But like I said, I'm just not going to. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and shuffle these ones up, just these purple ones, and these are going to get placed face up down, either along the top of the board or the bottom of the board. I'm just going to go ahead and do this as best as I can here, making sure that we use our space wisely. Because I don't have any space above. Oh, in fact, I got to slide the board up just a hair. And we're going to slide these into place like this. Something like that. Okay, now this is essentially, and I'm going to talk more about this in the gameplay video, but these are goals that are going to be scoring, and they'll be scored from left to right. So you can kind of plan your strategies looking at which goals are going to score left to right as you go along. It's possible that some of these goals will be removed during gameplay, things like that. But for now, this is kind of how they're going to score. Now, what I did is, remember these character tokens, I went ahead and grabbed those character tokens. These just remind you who's going to go first, second, third, fourth. It really doesn't matter which teammates you choose to go first in your team, but it is important that you alternate between the blue and the red and the blue and the red. So I've gone ahead and I've just decided to go malice and then empathy and then hatred and then love. And so I have just set up their tokens here, and you can lay them out. Honestly, I doubt we're ever going to see these because I'm just going to be playing them in turn order like we do in the book. But this is how you would set it up so that as a group playing the game, you can remember who goes first, second, third, fourth. Okay, and then almost the last thing we need to do is to put our player pieces on the board. Now, you could kind of go in player order, placing things along the way, but the book has a nice way to go about it for your starting game, so I'm just going to use what the book is going to show us. I'm using different characters than the book is showing, but I can still put their placement in the spot. So basically, you would put your character on a spot around this middle area here. So I'm going to go ahead and put a bad guy, a good guy, and a good guy. Oh, and there's the other bad guy right there in the middle. And so, oh, I just closed the book and I shouldn't have. Hold the phone. Okay, so it looks like, as I'm looking at the book off camera, okay, I'm going to go ahead and put love right here. And then what you would do is you would put one of your character cards in either of these spots, but I'm going to go ahead and follow what the book is saying to do and put that card there. Then I'm going to put empathy on this side, and we're going to put a brightness token there. Oh, do I want these? How do I want? I just want you guys to be able to see them. Okay, we're going to turn them this way. And then we're going to go ahead and put malice down here, and his card is going to go there. I know I should have that. It doesn't matter. I'm the OCD one here. Okay, and then I'm going to put this guy up here and this card right here. Now, because we've been placing these cards, we are going to start the game with some control. I'm going to go ahead and put control markers out. I'll do a better explanation of why those markers are there during the gameplay video, but let's kind of make our way around the board. So we're going to start up here at the top. Now, the Gloom blue player, if you look at this area here, they're going to have control because they have a card here. And in fact, what I need to do is we need to put one of these blue essence tokens on the first spot right there. And since blue player is the only one with anything in this realm, that's what this is called, it's going to get a blue marker like that. And then next up, what we're going to do is we're going to look at this area here. This is going to be called the frontier, or this is a triad, all of the vocabulary. It's very confusing. But you can see that obviously the blue player is the only one with a card here. And so we're going to take one of these tokens, and the blue player is going to get control over that as well. Looking right here, the red, I'm just going to call it red, and we're going to get over it. The red player, or the bliss player, what I just said that. Okay, we got to make sure we put one of these tokens on this, and they have control over this realm. So I'm going to grab one of these rings, and the red player has that one. And you could see that they're going to also control this frontier here. Okay, there are no cards in this realm, so nobody has control over that. But the blue player does have control right here. So let's label that. And they also have control right here. Again, I'm going to go into more details about control in the gameplay video, but hopefully you're seeing quickly that that's the case here. Oh, and really quickly, I did forget to put one of these on that bleakness cards down there, so let me just do that now. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and grab a brightness. Go ahead and put a red one right there. Okay, so evaluating this, red is going to start with control right here. Okay, and then looking right here, red is going to have control there. And then up here, red is going to have control. Oh, no, sorry. Nobody has control right here. That was dumb. So I'm just going to keep these nearby. It'll be off camera. But as we go around and these empty places get control, then I'm going to add the thing on there. If somebody else takes control, we might flip it or whatever. And then these block tokens, I'm going to go ahead and keep those nearby, but also off camera, just so that we have them available. And believe it or not, you guys, we are so close to being done. Get excited. We have all of the stuff set up on the board. We have our placement. We have our starting cards in place. We have our starting control showing. The last thing we need to do is that all the players are going to start with some of these willpower tokens, and they're also going to start with some of these essence. So we need to hand those out to the players. So more or less, each player is going to start with 4 willpower and 2 of these bliss essence tokens. So the love will start with that. Kind of working my way backwards through player order. Love's going to be our last player. Hatred's going to come before them. So 4 willpower and 2 essence, and everybody's starting with their 2 cards. And we're going to go ahead and throw those on there for empathy. And then malice is going to be our first player, so they are going to start with kind of the same things, but they also are going to start with 2 more willpower than the other players. So we've got those, and they're going to start with this token face down. More on that as I teach you how to play the game. All right, you guys, really quickly, there's a nice little checklist here on page 13 of your rulebook. to make sure that each player is going to start with their 2 emotion cards in their hand, 2 essence cards on their spirit board. Those are the little half globe thingies. 4 willpower, those are the purple ones. 6 willpower for the starting player, and 4 wild vibe tokens on their starting board. Those are the squares with the white circle. So we are, believe it or not, ready to go. This may be the longest setup video. I have to wait and see after I edit it down. But holy cow, we made it. Hopefully that was helpful for you. I'm going to teach you how to play this game. I realize it looks and feels overwhelming just from the setup. I hope that I did that setup in a way that you're able to follow. I'm going to really do my best to teach this game and play it in a way that's understandable so that you're going to be able to walk away feeling like you know how to play this game. Mostly I'm doing the starting game stuff, like the first game, allowances that they make. I just did that for setup. Other than that, I'm going to be playing a full-on game as 4 characters. We're going to see how that goes. I'm excited. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. If you would like to see how this game is played, go ahead and click on the link in the description of this video, and I will see you there. Okay, bye.